Hey there everyone, thanks for tuning in to Hoppy and Hungry. Today we're going to be...
Oh, whoops, are you filming? Sorry, I was just grabbing a beer. But, you know, if you're cooking something, I might as well stick around and...
Yeah, come join us and away we go. Is that a good one?
Oh yeah, it's great. So first of all, I gotta give a shout out to Hop City Brewing Co. I'm checking out their limited release, the Big Tiki Tropical Punch Blonde. It's awesome, great beer, and I also love the homage to Hawaiian Punch, the drink that we all love from our childhood. So awesome, good job guys.
Is that going to be one that you're going to be reviewing?
Might have to do a review, we'll see.
Oh, fantastic. So, shall we start?
Let's get going.
Hey there everyone, thanks for tuning in to Hoppy and Hungry. Today, we're going to be doing something special. We just celebrated Canada Day here in Canada. We're heading into Independence Day in the US. And what better way to celebrate the country that we love than actually preparing for you an authentic Canadian dish, the poutine, or the poutine as it's called in Quebec. And we're going to be using authentic cheese curds, none of this shredded cheese business. And we're going to be doing some homemade sauce, some homemade fries, and we're going to be doing something a little special with the gravy.
Yeah, so I thought what better way to incorporate beer into what we're actually doing here today than including it in the gravy. So one of my favorite things is getting a nice steak and stout pie from a local bakery that I go to. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, they use stout in the gravy, so you know what, why don't we try that with the poutine? Let's incorporate a stout beer and see how it comes out.
All right, so we've got all the ingredients we need for this authentically Canadian dish, the authentic poutine. We've got our russet potatoes to make our French fries. We have our all-purpose flour. We've got cornstarch, beef broth, chicken broth, vegetable oil, again, to cook the French fries. We've got our butter to be able to make our roux. And we've got our cheese curds here. Again, cheese curds, not shredded cheese. Of course, you can use shredded cheese, but if you want it to be authentic, you gotta use the cheese curds. And these are from Mapledale Cheese from Plainsfield, Ontario. Again, keeping it Canadian. Peameal bacon. Again, another authentic Canadian ingredient in this dish. And one interesting fact about it is that it's actually from Toronto.
Yeah. So the development of peameal bacon really is credited to Toronto by a ham and bacon cure called William Davies. And attached to that is that Toronto is actually called Hogtown because of how successful William Davies' company was in terms of selling ham and bacon.
And then finally, of course, we promised that there'd be a beer element to the gravy. So we do have a beer here that Rob could probably go into to add into our gravy.
Yep. So like I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of steak and stout pies. I love the stout element and the gravy in there, so I thought, let's add stout to the gravy for the poutine. So I picked up the Chinook Stout from Muskoka Brewery. So this is going to give us more of those kind of chocolatey, coffee, malty, darker flavors, and I think that's going to mix well with the beef element of the gravy. And we'll see, there might be some sweetness in there that'll add to the gravy as well.
Well, I'm eager to get started.
Yeah, let's get her going.
So the first thing that we want to do is cut our potatoes. We're going to peel and cut 5 medium to large potatoes, and this will be enough for 2 people. You will want to cut these potatoes along the long side, and then once you do, then you cut them into French fry rectangles. Next, blanch these potatoes to get rid of the starch. Toss them onto a plate with a paper towel and pat dry to get rid of any excess water. Get a pan nice and hot and toss your peameal bacon on top. You can use oil to cook it, but the natural fats in the bacon is more than enough to keep it from burning. In a small bowl, mix 3 tablespoons of cornstarch and 4 tablespoons of water. You can also start to measure your broth. We're looking at 2 parts beef to 1 part chicken, or 20 ounces of beef broth and 10 ounces of chicken broth. Once the bacon is cooked all the way through, remove them from the pan and place onto a plate. Now it's time to make our roux. In the same pan, toss 1 stick of unsalted butter to melt. Once melted, toss your 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour and whisk consistently until there are no clumps. When the roux begins to boil and has a bit of a gold color, pour in your beef and chicken broth. Crack open your stout and pour half the can into the gravy. Continue to whisk the mixture. Continue cooking the gravy until it thickens. Add in some garlic powder, salt, and pepper. Add in the cornstarch mixture while continuing to whisk. Take the gravy off the heat, and now it's time to cook our French fries. Grab a pot and pour in a few cups of vegetable oil. Get the oil to a 300° Fahrenheit temperature. Toss the fries into the oil and let them sit in there for 8 minutes or until they take on a bit of a gold brown color. Grab your peameal bacon and chop them up into little pieces and set them aside as we'll use them to top our poutine. Time to plate. Grab a good helping of French fries, toss your cheese curds on top, then pour your delicious gravy over top the cheese and fries. Finally, grab your bacon and sprinkle on top.
All right, so we've got our authentic poutine all ready. We've got our peameal bacon, our potatoes, our cheese curds, all locally sourced. And of course we have our gravy, which was made with the beer stout, which is fantastic to incorporate a nice Canadian drink in our gravy. But we also have some other beers here that we're gonna be pairing with this poutine, I believe.
Yeah, so typically when we're pairing beer with food, you either want to go for something where you're contrasting or complementing the food that we're eating. And I know since you're more of a light beer drinker, I thought, it was better to contrast the heaviness of the fats and the saltiness from the poutine. So what I got for Carlos here today is the Whitewater Brewing Company Legion Lager. So that's going to be a nice, light, refreshing beer. It's going to be crisp, something to cleanse the palate after taking a bite of the nice, fatty, salty poutine. And the cool thing about this beer too, sticking on the whole Canadian theme, coming off Canada Day, 5% of all the proceeds from this beer is going to go towards supporting veteran programs for our Canadian soldiers. So that's something that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And so for myself on the other end, I said, what can I do that's going to complement some of the flavors of the poutine?
And you're big on hoppy beers,
yeah,
IPAs. So.
I'm more on like something that's going to have a lot of those different types of flavors, things maybe to incorporate bitterness, hops, things like that. So I figured, I'm going to complement the stout aspect of the gravy that we had here today. So what I ended up getting is the Ephus Brown Ale from Left Field Brewing in Toronto. And so this beer is going to complement some of the stout flavors that went into the gravy. So there's going to be, malty, dark, bitter flavors, chocolate, coffee. So I'm going to see how that's going to mix well with the elements of the gravy that we had there. And it's also supposed to be smooth and creamy. So let's see if that also goes with the fact that there's lots of fats in the poutine we're about to eat.
Looking forward to it. And we've got our mason jar cups.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have beer cups, so
Yeah.
this is as best as it gets.
We're looking as hip as possible right now.
Yeah. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. Let's try it out. Oh, that's very good.
Awesome.
My style of beer.
Yeah.
Not too hoppy.
Let me know if you want to try mine.
I'm good. Let's dig into this poutine and see how it combines with these here.
Awesome.
Oh,
All right.
get in there. Yeah. Geez.
The one thing I noticed, I think the stout in the gravy actually did make a difference. I noticed on the finish of the gravy itself that you could taste a little bit of those roasted flavors from the coffee, and that kind of went well with the fact that the butter aspect of the gravy itself was nice, kind of smooth, malty, dark flavors there.
Yeah. Well, the peameal bacon, it seems like it's a little bit more of a saltier
Yeah.
type of bacon, but it's also fantastic, and it's not too fatty, and that's the amazing thing about peameal bacon. It's like pork loin, very thinly cut, but not a lot of fat, but super rich in taste. With the peameal bacon, the russet potatoes, the cheese curds, again locally sourced, and the gravy with the stout, all fantastic melding together of flavors. And authentically Canadian. So thanks for tuning in to Hoppy and Hungry. We're going to be doing a lot more of these food type pairing videos in the future, of course. But be sure to follow us on all social media accounts. Be sure to follow us on the Untapped app to check out all the beers that Rob is looking into and reviewing. And thanks for tuning in. Happy Canada Day. Happy Independence Day to our American friends. And see you on the next one.